It's the start of a new year, and not just on the calendar, but in Indy ball as well. The four major Indy leagues will build on the successes and fix the failures of last year. Today we're going to take a look at what those improvements should be. Join us as we give some New Year's resolutions for each league here on the Indy Ball Report YouTube channel. Back again to bring you another video. Hi, I'm Nick. Today we're going to look at each of the leagues and determine what they need to build on in 2025. Some leagues like the Frontier and Atlantic have been around since the 90s, while others have been born or thrown into independent ball more recently, like the American Association and Pioneer Leagues. They each have their own needs and serve their own purpose and groups. Thus brings us to here. Let the evaluations and grand suggestions begin. Regardless of what any other league may say or try to push, the Atlantic League is still top dog in the Indy world. They get the players with brand recognition, they get the legacy media coverage, and they're the ones that have expectations around them. They are also the ones that consistently shoot themselves in the foot, though. They actively make accessing games online difficult. The switch to Flow, which the other two leagues we'll talk about later are guilty of as well, have been a disaster from a fan's perspective. With high membership fees that are required monthly, or even more ridiculous yearly fees, have led to a major drop-off in active watchers for these games, which has stunted the players and the brand growth. The online community that was once filled with folks like me that were breaking down plays, deep-diving players, and creating a lot of free content and generating a lot of free online publicity for the league has seemingly dried up now. And for a league that's supposedly flush with funds, or at least certainly has owners that are, they don't seem to invest much from the outside perspective. They don't seem to want anyone from the outside world to know about the league. Sure, they'll push a couple of things every now and then, but by and large, those social feeds are just ghost towns. For this year, I want to see the league expand the reach, and they can do that by being more accessible again. Let's get the social media accounts firing again. Let's start spreading player highlights. Let's make sure that every day the league feeds are chock full of content promoting its members and itself. You have the New York market. You have the DC and Baltimore markets as well. There's a bunch of other minor markets across the East that you have in addition to those. Your network is already strong as far as traditional coverage goes. Let's go ahead and expand into those new markets that are where all the people are at now, where people are spending their time on. Let's make it so that way when people Google the Atlantic League, they see more 2025 and less Rich Hill. You guys have been gaining on the Atlantic League, getting some pretty good names, leading the way in new ideas and partnerships. And honestly, the digital space has been yours. No competition from anybody else. At least that's notable. I'm honestly impressed. Josh Schaub has done something that many have long thought impossible. Wrangling the herd of cats that are league ownership. At least that's how it looks on the surface. A quick view would make you think everything and everyone is drama-free. However, we know that's not the case. Whether it's questionable employee management like we reported about last March, or struggles with in-season events. I understand that there's politics inside the league and every mouth needs to eat and some need larger portions to satisfy those appetites, but that doesn't mean that they should get carte blanche to do whatever they want to whoever they want. In 2025, let's do our research and try to be more selective with who we associate ourselves with. The 21st century should be the American century for Indy ball, but only if we start protecting everyone in the league and the league image as a whole. Oh, and can we do something about the playoff system too? It was cute and cool in the beginning, but it's a little ridiculous that we have sub-500 teams that are dancing for a title more often than not. Either let's reduce the number of teams down to 3, have a bye, very standard, stock standard kind of thing. Or we could do what the WNBA does, where we use divisions for scheduling and for deciding all-star teams and fun things like that. But when it comes time for the playoffs, we just take the best 8 teams. 4 teams will still miss, but we'll still have the same 8 teams making the playoffs. No lack of revenue there. Teams can still get in, be all well and good. But now the pick your opponent system has a little bit more weight to it. There's actual choices. It's no more just pick of one of really two choices. It can keep part of what you have now that makes you different, but it improves on it so that way fans feel like there's a point to all of this. You play 100 games, let's make the 100 games mean something. There's a lot here to be happy about. You own the hardest space to own right now. Let's just make sure we don't have anybody among the ranks that could jeopardize that. The oldest and boldest league, at least in terms of footprint, the Frontier is not afraid to go to new places. They saved independent baseball in Eastern Canada and Northern New Jersey by absorbing the Can-Am League, and they've arguably saved baseball in their two newest markets, Kinston and Pearl, as well. That's kind of the issue. You see, the league's expanded rapidly. A merger in 2019 that brought in half a dozen teams, a pair of travel team seasons in 22 and 23, then more expansion in 24, followed up by 2 more teams in 25, and a desire to add another 2 over the next 2 years. Let's slow that down. In 2025, our goal should be to backburner these expansion plans. Teams have already complained about travel, which has seen division realignment, and some other inquiring minds in the space believe the talent is starting to lag behind the Pioneer, or at least become on par with it. Seeing as we've seen several ownership changes in the last 12 months, and other owners that haven't exactly been living up to the standard we expect from them, we should fortify what we have, then reattack expansion at a later date. Perhaps when we don't have a quarter of the league blatantly lying about their attendance figures. Genuinely though, please, fix this. The footprint is a mess. The ownership situation is in flux. Let's get this league settled. You guys have a lot of potential. I don't want to see that squandered. Ah, yes, the new kids on the block. I must say, I am impressed. I thought a league scattered across Big Sky country would have fallen apart pretty quickly. This shouldn't be working, and it should have failed, and we should be cursing out Major League Baseball for killing, well, any sort of baseball in about 10 different cities. Instead, here we are, thriving, adding new markets in the original footprint, taking a big swing, going to California, getting a lot of publicity in the process. This is coming at a cost. Monetary cost, that is. Expenses are up across the league in player salaries and administration costs. There were serious concerns when Major League Baseball alimony payments were expected to expire a few years back. That's why we need a better grind set in 2025. There needs to be a focus on raising income, lowering expenses. If we want to continue the growth and challenge the Frontier League going forward, then we need to start focusing on getting back into the black. And it could start also by getting some more stability. Let's get the situation in NoCo settled. It's certainly dragging on now. And make sure that the high wheelers won't roll to another new city in 2026, although Yuba Sutter seems to welcome them. Once we can do these things, we'll be cooking with more than just a campfire. 2025 will be a pivotal year in Indy ball. I hope these leagues will heed the advice and make the changes necessary. Only time will tell. And until next time, don't forget to play ball.